The camera fades in slow, black and white turning to color, like memory bleeding into life. The neon of Las Vegas, 1960, pulses against a desert sky the color of dried blood. March 23, 1960. The Sands Hotel Casino. Inside the private VIP lounge tucked behind the Copa room, crystal chandeliers drip light onto red velvet booths. Smoke curls from expensive cigars. Laughter echoes off the walls like it owns the place. But something is wrong. A circle of powerful men sits around a low table. Frank Sinatra leans back, drink in hand. Dean Martin swirls ice in his glass. Sammy Davis Jr. sits among them, tuxedo sharp, smile still holding even though his one good eye is tired from the second show. And then a voice cuts through the haze. A white casino owner, thick-necked, red-faced from whiskey, leans forward. His name is Beckman. Everyone in Vegas knows him. He owns pieces of the Strip. He decides who eats, who stays, who gets paid. "Yeah, you put on a hell of a show, Sammy," Beckman says, voice loud enough for the whole lounge to hear. "But let's be honest. At the end of the day, you're still just another N******** in a tuxedo." The room freezes. Glasses stop mid-toast. Conversations die. Sinatra's smile vanishes. Dean Martin's eyes go flat. Sammy Davis Jr. doesn't flinch. He's heard worse. He's heard it in the army when they painted him white and poured piss in his beer. He's heard it from hotel managers who made him use the service elevator even after he sold out the main room. But hearing it here, in front of his friends, in front of the Rat Pack, in front of the men who supposedly changed the game, that stings different. The silence stretches. Thick. Heavy. And then something happens that no one in that lounge will ever forget. Elvis Presley, who had been sitting quietly in the corner, listening, absorbing, stands up. Slow. Deliberate. No raised voice. No clenched fists. Just a man rising like a storm that decided to walk. He crosses the room in 3 steps. Places himself directly between Beckman and Sammy. Looks the casino owner dead in the eye. And the entire world inside that lounge shifts on its axis. What Elvis did next shocked everyone. It shocked the celebrities. It shocked the waiters frozen in place. It shocked the power brokers who thought they ran this town. Because in one quiet, unbreakable moment, a poor white kid from Tupelo, Mississippi, reminded the richest man in the room what real power actually looks like. If stories about courage, loyalty, and standing up for what's right still matter to you in a world that keeps trying to forget them, take a second right now and smash that like button. Subscribe. Turn on notifications. These are the moments they don't teach in school. These are the stories that deserve to be remembered. Let's go back to that night and live it with them. Las Vegas in the early 1960s wasn't just a city. It was a glittering lie wrapped in neon and desperation. The Strip sparkled like a diamond necklace on a corpse. Every night, the biggest stars in America lit up stages that could seat 1,000 people. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Joey Bishop. The Rat Pack. They owned the town after dark. Crowds in tuxedos and evening gowns clapped until their hands bled. Champagne flowed like water. But the second the spotlights cut off, the truth crawled out from under the tables. Black entertainers like Sammy Davis Jr. could sing their hearts out, dance until their feet bled, make white audiences laugh until they cried. But they couldn't eat in the same restaurants, sleep in the same hotels, or even use the same bathrooms as the people paying to see them. The Sands, the Sahara, the Flamingo, places built on the money of black talent, still enforced Jim Crow rules behind the scenes. Performers were escorted through back doors. They slept in colored boarding houses miles off the Strip. They smiled for the cameras and swallowed their dignity every single night. Sammy Davis Jr. knew this better than most. He was already a legend by 1960. Born into vaudeville, raised on stages since he was 3 years old. He could sing like an angel, dance like the devil, tell jokes that cut straight to the bone. He'd lost his left eye in a horrific car crash in 1954, yet came back stronger, wearing an eye patch like a pirate king of show business. He joined the Rat Pack not because Sinatra felt sorry for him, but because Sinatra respected raw talent. And Sammy brought fire. He brought soul. He brought the kind of charisma that made people forget he was breaking every rule just by standing there. But the hatred never stopped. Wealthy white businessmen, casino owners, mob-connected investors, they tolerated Sammy on stage because he made them money. Offstage? He was still just another black man who needed to know his place. Sammy smiled through it. He joked about it. He turned pain into performance. But inside, it carved pieces out of him every single time. Meanwhile, across town at the New Frontier Hotel, another star was burning white-hot. Elvis Presley, 25 years old and already the king. He'd shaken the world with Heartbreak Hotel, Hound Dog, Jailhouse Rock. He'd sold millions of records. He'd been drafted, served his country, come back, and conquered Hollywood. But the boy from Tupelo still carried the South in his bones. He remembered the black churches where he first heard gospel. He remembered the sharecroppers who taught him rhythm. He remembered what it felt like to be looked down on because your clothes were patched and your daddy drank too much. Elvis never talked much about race in public. He didn't give speeches. But those closest to him knew the truth. He hated bullies. He hated small men with big power who used it to crush people smaller than them. And he loved talent. Real talent. The kind that came from the soul, not the bank account. That night, March 23, 1960, the two worlds collided in the Sands VIP lounge. Sammy had just finished his second show. Elvis had come over after his own performance across the Strip. The Rat Pack was relaxing. Drinks were flowing. The air smelled like expensive cologne, Cuban cigars, and the faint metallic tang of money. Then Beckman walked in. He was in his late 50s. Heavy gold rings on thick fingers. A belly that strained against his custom suit. Eyes that had sized up every man in Vegas and decided most of them were beneath him. He owned a piece of the Sands. He lent money to the right people. He could make careers disappear with one phone call. And tonight he was drunk on whiskey and his own importance. He slapped backs. He told loud jokes. He acted like the lounge belonged to him. At first, the conversation stayed light. Showbiz talk. Who was hot, who was slipping. Then Beckman turned his attention to Sammy. "You know, Sammy," he said, voice already slurring at the edges. "I gotta hand it to you. That dance number tonight? The one with the cane and the hat. Real crowd pleaser." He took a long pull from his glass. "But let's be real for a second. All that talent, all that flash, it don't change what you are." Sammy's smile stayed frozen. Polite. Professional. The same smile he'd worn 1,000 times before. Beckman leaned in closer. "You're still just a N******** in a tuxedo. Ain't that right?" The words landed like a slap across the face of the entire room. Frank Sinatra's hand tightened around his glass until his knuckles went white. Dean Martin's easy grin disappeared. Joey Bishop looked like he wanted to say something but knew better. The waiters froze mid-step. Even the piano player in the corner missed a note. Sammy didn't move. His one good eye stared straight ahead. He had survived worse. He had survived the army. He had survived losing his eye. He had survived the death threats after he married a white woman. But this was public. This was in front of his brothers. This was meant to remind him, in the middle of his greatest success, that some people would never see him as anything more than the color of his skin. The silence that followed was deafening. You could hear the ice melting in the glasses. You could hear hearts beating. You could feel the weight of every unspoken word in American history pressing down on that one table. Beckman smirked. He thought he'd won. He thought the room would laugh. He thought power always won. But he hadn't counted on Elvis. Elvis had been sitting quietly the whole time. Legs crossed. Watching. Listening. The boy who once stood on the back of a flatbed truck singing for pocket change now sat in a room full of millionaires. And something inside him snapped. Not loud. Not violent. Just clear. He stood up. The movement was so calm it felt louder than a gunshot. He walked straight toward the table. No hurry. No drama. Just purpose. He stopped right beside Sammy. Placed one hand gently on his friend's shoulder. Then looked Beckman dead in the eye. The room held its breath. Nobody expected what came next. Elvis didn't yell. He didn't curse. He didn't throw a punch. He spoke in that soft, southern drawl that had melted millions of hearts across the world. But this time the words carried steel. "Mr. Beckman," Elvis said, voice low but carrying to every corner of the lounge. "I think you owe my friend an apology." Beckman blinked. Laughed once, short and ugly. "Apology? For what?" "Telling the truth." Elvis didn't smile. "Truth? The truth is Sammy Davis Jr. is one of the most talented men to ever walk onto a stage. He's got more soul in his little finger than most men have in their whole body. And you're sitting here in a room full of people who respect him, trying to make him feel small. That don't make you big, sir. That makes you pathetic." The words hung in the air like smoke. Beckman's face turned beet red. "Who the hell do you think you are, Presley? Some jumped-up hillbilly telling me how to talk in my own casino. Elvis leaned in just a fraction. His voice never rose. I'm the man who knows what it feels like to be looked down on. I'm the man who grew up poor white trash in Mississippi. And I'm the man who's telling you right now, you don't get to talk to Sammy like that. Not tonight. Not ever. Not while I'm in this room. He turned to Sammy, his hand still on his shoulder. Gentle. Brotherly. You all right, Sam? Sammy looked up. For the first time that night, his eye glistened. Not from tears exactly. From something deeper. Recognition. Gratitude. The kind of look that passes between two men who both know what it's like to fight the world with nothing but talent and heart. Yeah, Elvis, Sammy said quietly. I'm all right. But Elvis wasn't finished. He turned back to Beckman. You see, sir, I've been watching Sammy perform since I was a kid. He taught me things about music you'll never understand. He's got more class in one broken-down shoe than you've got in that whole expensive suit. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to apologize. Right now. In front of everybody. And then you're going to keep your mouth shut about things you don't understand. The lounge was so quiet you could hear the desert wind outside. Beckman looked around. No one was backing him up. Sinatra was staring daggers. Dean Martin had stood up too. Even the casino executives at the next table were looking away, suddenly very interested in their drinks. Beckman swallowed hard. His power was slipping. For the first time in years, he felt small. I didn't mean nothing by it, he muttered. Elvis shook his head. That's not an apology. Try again. Beckman's jaw worked. His eyes darted around the room like a cornered animal. Finally, through gritted teeth, he forced the words out. I'm sorry, Sammy. Sammy nodded once. Didn't speak. Didn't need to. Elvis stayed standing between them a moment longer. Protecting. Shielding. Making sure the message was crystal clear. Then he sat back down beside his friend. Patted Sammy's shoulder again. The room slowly exhaled. But the night wasn't over. Not by a long shot. What happened in the minutes and hours after that moment would ripple through Las Vegas like an earthquake. Whispers spread from the lounge to the casino floor. From the casino floor to the dressing rooms. From the dressing rooms to the hotels up and down the strip. But the moment wasn't just about one night. It was about what it represented. In an era where standing up for black friends could cost you your career, your safety, your future, Elvis did it anyway. Quietly, calmly, without needing applause. He showed that real manhood isn't about how loud you are. It's about how clearly you see right from wrong. Sammy never forgot it. Years later, long after Elvis was gone, Sammy would talk about that night in interviews. He'd say Elvis was one of the few white stars who treated him like a man first and a performer second. He'd say the friendship was real, deep, unbreakable. And the ring? Sammy wore it for years. It became his good luck charm, a symbol that someone had his back when the world didn't. Now, think about that for a second. Have you ever witnessed someone stand up against injustice? Have you ever been the one who had to decide whether to speak or stay silent? Have you ever defended someone when nobody else would? Drop your answer in the comments. Tell us your story, because moments like this aren't just history. They're mirrors. They show us who we are and who we could be. In the days after the incident, the emotional release came slow and deep. Sammy and Elvis stayed in touch more than ever. Phone calls, late-night talks in hotel rooms, shared jokes about the absurdity of fame. Sammy sent Elvis a custom-made watch with an inscription only they understood. Elvis sent back a guitar pick engraved with both their names. Small things, but they mattered. One night, weeks later, Sammy broke down in private. He told a close friend that Beckman's words had cut deeper than he let on. But Elvis's stand, that had healed something. It reminded him that talent and heart could still win sometimes. Elvis, for his part, never bragged about it. He didn't give interviews. He didn't turn it into a publicity stunt. He just did what he believed was right and moved on. That was the kind of man he was. The legacy of that night stretched far beyond the Sands Lounge. It became one of those whispered legends in show business. The night the king stood up for the greatest entertainer alive. The night racism got checked in a room full of power. The night two American originals proved that friendship doesn't see color, it sees soul. Years passed. Elvis became an icon. Sammy kept breaking barriers. But that moment in 1960 remained frozen in time. A perfect example of what happens when good men refuse to stay quiet. Today, when we look back, we see more than just two celebrities. We see the power of choosing humanity over hatred. We see that one quiet act of courage can echo louder than any spotlight. We see that even in the darkest rooms, light can still break through. And maybe, just maybe, that story still has something to teach us. Because the world hasn't changed as much as we like to pretend. There are still Beckmans out there. Still people who use power to hurt instead of help. Still moments when the right thing is the hard thing. But there are also still Elvis. Still people willing to stand up. Still friends who refuse to let their brothers stand alone. Sammy Davis Jr. once said, "The only thing I want to know about Elvis is, was he my friend? Did I enjoy him as a performer? Did he give the world something?" And the answer is yes on all accounts. That's the real victory. Not fame. Not money. Not even the applause. It's the knowledge that when it mattered most, someone chose right. The neon lights of Vegas still burn bright. The Sands is gone now, replaced by newer, shinier casinos. But the memory of that night lives on. In grainy old photos. In rare interviews. In the hearts of people who still believe that courage and loyalty aren't just words, they're actions. So the next time you hear someone being torn down for the color of their skin, for where they come from, for who they love, remember that lounge. Remember the silence. Remember the man who stood up. And ask yourself, what would you do? Thank you for watching this incredible story all the way to the end. If this tale of courage and brotherhood moved you even half as much as it moves me, do me a favor. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who still believes that standing up matters. Hit subscribe. Like the video. Turn on the bell so you never miss the next untold story that reveals the true character behind the legends we thought we knew. And stay right here, because the next story is already loading on your screen. A story that will remind you why some moments in history refuse to die. Until then, keep believing in the power of doing what's right, even when the whole room is watching.